The monitor. So. All right. Shabbat shalom. All right. We are going to get ready to get started on our Shabbat college lesson. Um, no? No, I'm on. Yeah, I'm looking at it here. Okay. So we want to welcome everybody to our Shabbat college lesson. This is the second week of our Purim lesson. We might do one more lesson, but this is our second week. Purim begins when? Sunday, March 1st. And it is a 2-day feast, and it is a solemn assembly. So, in all of our locations, just like they did in the Persian Empire, we're going to be celebrating the Feast of Purim for 2 days. And I'm just, I'm always excited about. I'm excited about all the feasts. I don't know why. I'm really excited about the Solemn Assembly festivals. We talk about Chanukah and the Feast of Purim. I mean, these are such great stories. I think I read it 4 times by Tuesday. So I did make a recommendation that was almost kind of a mandatory recommendation. So I guess it wasn't really a recommendation. that we read through the book of Esther. You can even the audio book. You can probably go through it in 20 minutes. So, um, a wonderful story. We're going to continue on with that story today. If you just give me 1 minute, I cannot pull up. No, well, yeah, I can't pull it up. I don't see anything on mine. So, all right. So, Ronnie, can you see? Can make sure this is connected to the basement. If you can connect that to the basement. To the basement. Okay. Does everybody have a lesson? Everybody should have their lesson. Okay. Now, we have a a lot more slides. Give me 1 second. Are you looking at? Are you looking at this thing? Do you have this video thing in front of you? Do you have this the video? All right. Okay. Let me see. I'm showing a different screen. Are we okay? This is what I'm showing, a welcome screen. Okay. I got a lot of things going on here. Totally, yeah. We'll get started in just 1 more minute. I don't have my laptop. Oh, let me stop pushing stuff. I think I'm pushing things and okay. Because I was trying to get something on my phone. I was trying to do something on my phone and over here. All right, we're just gonna use this. I'm sorry. Make sure I'm good now. We're going to get through the class today. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. You know how everything work before you get started, and as soon as you start, everything don't work. um, okay. So this is a continuation um, of our class. Did anybody get a chance to look at the movies at all? Esther. Yeah. It's on Prime. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, it's and I like it because it's really accurate. A lot of times you watch some of the Bible movies, they don't be really accurate. Okay. It's not large enough, Ryan. Okay. Y'all gonna have to help me out today because I'm going I'm all right. So and I don't like apples, so I can't scroll up and down. No, not today. No, I was having some issues doing that, and I can't scroll up and down with this thing. If you could download it, so I can just. All right. So, can somebody tell me what the name of our lesson is?
Yah's master plan.
God's master plan. What is the subtitle? What's underneath there?
Where is God?
Okay.
From destruction to
So
deliverance.
why is it important that we find out where is L? Where does that question come from? Yes.
It comes from people suggesting that there are concerns about the utility or validity of the book of Esther,
Mm-hmm.
given the lack of mentioning of God by name.
Okay. Toda. Um, and when we go through this class today, it's going to be apparent to you if that ever comes up in a conversation. And these are again conversations that I really don't have. I mean, who's going to ask you any questions about Purim? But you know, we have to be prepared, and sometimes Yah takes us through this preparation period for during a number of years, so that you know one day you're going to be called to do what I'm doing. Some of us, one day we're going to have 400 people, 1,000 people, and you're going to be called. And so you should be sharpening your sword now, right? You don't wait till the beast come to try to. Oh, he come down the street and trying to sharpen your sword. So you need to be sharpening that now. And I think this class is real excellent. I'm saying this lesson today is excellent on showing where God is. We talked last week about seeing characteristics of people without them necessarily not having a title. Did we talk about that last week? Um, and so you can be a mentor without being labeled a mentor, right? Um, you could be a great cook without you being known amongst people to be a great cook, right? People will taste your food like, man, you a great cook. Just like that, you a great cook, right? So let's talk about Yah's master plan. Where is El in the book of Esther? And we're going to see where El is because we want to keep that in mind, that we're going to see some characteristics in here that is only indicative of the creator of the universe, right? So when we can identify it, then you can identify Yah. Okay, let's go ahead and move to our first slide.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
What we see in the story of Purim merely confirms the power and strength that the people of El, God, have been appointed with. There is power in being a true Jew, who are called by the name of Yisrael, beginning with Jacob and expanding all the way through to the New Testament times. The true Jews have always possessed the characteristics of having power with God and man, and were able to prevail over life's most difficult challenges. Apostle Paul affirms that they did have much in every way advantage, chiefly because they were entrusted with the oracles of God, Elohim, the revealed word, covenants, law, worship system, and the promises concerning the Messiah. Yisrael, Israel, had a unique covenant relationship and divine revelation that set them apart in history.
So before we move on, it's important, and I'm one of those people that like to use the Bible not just for historical references, not just to look back and say, "Oh, this is a good story. Oh, look at what God did," but it's a training. I mean, this is relative to our own lives. Now, I know most of us, including me, oh yeah, almost every day for 2 years, 3 years. I mean, a lot of things been going on, and you wake up, you get in your car, you go to work, come home, feel like the same person. Get up the next day, get in your car, go to work, come home, feel like the same person. And even throughout that time, we encounter so many challenges. And one of the things, I say this personally about my parents. I knew when basketball practice or football practice is over, and we've had a discussion with my parents Sunday or earlier that day, they're going to come pick me up. I can count 100%. I don't care how many people leave. My parents going to be there to pick me up. We have to have, I don't say that same type of confidence, but we have to understand and have the confidence that Yah is saying the same thing to us, that we got some problems. I'm talking about, you ever had them problems where your nerves is bad, you just feel sick to the stomach. Like you going through things. And regardless of those difficulties and those trying times, man, listen, you got to be 100% sure and convicted that you are the people of God. You got to be 100% sure that we serve the same Christ who's the same yesterday, today, and forever. We have to believe that just like the Father delivered our forefathers during times of difficulties and struggle and sickness and all the things they went through and delivered them, that he'll do the same thing for us. Now, when you're going through, you're like, oh, Yah, please do such and such, and you wake up the next day, it seems like it's worse. Oh, Yah, please, and you keep praying, it seems like it's not going nowhere. So we read the story in a vacuum, but we don't understand the nerves and the sickness. Can you imagine? You all going to be killed in one day. How would you sleep tonight if you knew that everybody who had skin this color a year from now was going to be massacred? I mean, wouldn't that constantly be on your mind? And after a while, it'll weigh on you. I have no escape. I know that I'm going to be dead before the summer of next year. And so we got to be confident that we know that Yah's going to come through, regardless of what you go through. No, regardless of how long it may seem to take. Because, you're going through something, boy, that 2 days feel like 20. That 1 year feel like 10 years when you're going through. And then you know how we do. When we come on the other side, we're like, man, it wasn't that bad. Oh, yes, it was. When you were going through, it was that bad. And so the Bible said that we have an advantage in every way. But the thing that really gives us the advantage in every way is that we have the oracles of El. So now what happens if you don't have the oracles of El? If you don't have the words of God, if you're not living by the words of God? Like, this book is meant to comfort us and encourage us and motivate us and let us know that God don't change. And the same things that you are facing, the same worries that you have, right, is what the people in biblical times had, and Yah delivered them. Now let's read Esther, the 6th chapter, verse 13, and we're going to see throughout the Bible how Yah kept working, how Yah kept working, how Yah kept working. You know what Satan wants to do? Satan wants to get into your psyche and cause you to doubt. He wants to get into your psyche and cause you to lose faith. Because if you can lose a little bit of faith, that's when he can come in and attack. If you begin to doubt, that's when he's going to come in. And so that's why we got to stay prayed up. We got to stay. Listen, I talk to myself all the time. And some folks probably think I'm crazy because I'm walking and talking. Because there are times where you're going to have to encourage yourself. Ain't nobody else, listen, can't nobody understand. I always laugh and say this about kids and, my wife or whoever had babies. And people like, oh, that looked like that hurt. I can only imagine. Hey, no, you can't even imagine. Because your imagination don't match my pain or her pain. So let's read Esther, the 6th chapter.
Esther chapter 6, verse 13. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
Yeah, ain't that something? Yeah. Your wife know what time it is. Your wise men, they know what time it is.
I think, if I may, what there was like an if and then statement here, and this is probably what one of the things that you're leading to. There's so many examples in the book of Esther, but one here is that she said if Mordecai be, I think she said of the seed of the Jews, right? Is how it was read. Then essentially you're not going to prevail against him. And so we see God here because she's not expressing that just because Mordecai is a Jew, then you're going to fail. But the Jews are attached to the God of the Jews. And the power that El has already shown up until this point of what he will do for his people, that tale of who the Jews were and who their God was is something that I'm sure was already information in the land. And so she's saying, listen,
Sure.
the way God don't play about his kids, if he's a Jew, it's a wrap for you, my friend. So you see God in his power and how he has caused the enemies of his children to even to know who they are and to know who he is.
Right. Good. So yeah, they knew something about the power of the Jews. They heard stories. And this really goes to show you that although people know, and you can have conversations with people about certain things, whether we talk about Christmas or Ash Wednesday or things that's not biblical or things historically that goes against their religion, people will know. But everybody won't even conform. Now, she know that. Now, wouldn't you think that she would conform and become a Jew? So people won't always accept they won't accept the facts and they won't accept reality. So, okay. So, good. So that's power to the people. And again, we have to get our own revelation just because, and in my many years, I believe that there are so many people who believe that because they're Yisrael, they can just sit idle, that everything is going to go well. They're not going to have no problems. They're not going to have death in the family. They're not going to lose a job. They're not going to lose a love, whatever the case may be. But in order to have power with God and with man and to prevail, that means that you're going to have to be put in a position where you got to prevail. And I think we lose that. We say it, but I think that a lot of people believe that it's just going to be that easy. And you're not going to have to go through no things. You're not going to have to go through no long suffering. But that's not how Yah operates. He put you in the position so that you may know him. Right? He puts you in a position to some of us that he gonna put your back against the wall. That Apostle used to always say, you roll up your sleeves. He said, you fight or die. He gonna put your back against the wall sometime. That if you don't surrender and if you don't fully rely on him, then you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. I'm not saying you're gonna necessarily die, but you ain't gonna make it over that hurdle. There are some people that struggle with the death of a loved one, or they struggle with some things and they end up just losing Yah because they didn't surrender that portion of themselves to him and let him take over. You kept trying to do it, and you're going to make yourself crazy. Right? There are some things that you can't battle. I think a lot of people go insane because you're not meant to fight every battle. You can't win every battle. And so since we fight not against flesh and blood, how did it look? You swinging trying to beat up a spirit. You trying to fight a spirit, right? A demonic spirit. Hey, let me say this. I'm not preaching violence, right? If you got a machete or you got one of them kung fu knives, I'm not going to say, okay, put them up. Man, I'm picking up a brick or something that's equivalent to what you got. And so when you're dealing with spiritual things and you may not see the spiritual side of it, you just look at this brother or this sister or this situation. You're not looking at that the spirit of Satan enters into people to destroy you. Right? He is the spirit behind wickedness and evilness and cunningness and those things that are against you. Just like Yah uses us to go and minister to people. You think Yah is going to minister to the world in the spirit? No, he uses us. So what do you think Satan going to do? He going to use people. You know, he's so deceitful that he even use you. He even get into you and make you go against yourself. Some people leave the church because Satan got in them, right? And caused them to start saying, look, they ain't doing me right. They won't let me do X, Y, and Z. So we got to fight fire with fire. Okay, let's move on.
The phrase power with El and with man is actually said about Jacob in Genesis 32:28.
All right. Shalom, saints.
After he wrestles with the angel.
Hold on a second, huh? I didn't do anything. I'm on Facebook. You didn't move the screen? No. Points right now. I would have to re-download it. I don't want to stop the class. So we do apologize. We hope everybody can just listen up for the remainder of the class. Okay. I'll try to get it up. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish reading.
The phrase power with God and with man is actually said about Jacob in Genesis 32:28 after he wrestles with the angel. But when we look at the book of Esther, we absolutely see that the same kind of favor operating in the life of Esther, even though it's described differently. Esther's rise wasn't random. She had unusual favor at every stage. She obtained favor in the sight of Haggai, the keeper of the women, Esther 2, verse 9. She obtained grace and favor before King Ahasuerus more than all the other women, Esther 2, verse 17. When she entered the king's inner court uninvited, which could have meant death, the king extended the golden scepter, Esther 5, verse 2. That's influence, that's access, that's relational authority in the highest political office of the Persian Empire under Xerxes I. She moved from orphan to queen, from hidden identity to national intercessor, from silence to strategic speech. That's power with man.
Okay. So Yisrael means to have power with man and with God. And so what we're showing here is that, and what we're going to go through for maybe the next 7, 8 slides, it's not a lot of context, but we're going to show systematically throughout this story from the time that Queen Esther was chosen, or from the time she came into Persia, right? When they were gathering young virgins, when they were looking for young queens or a queen for the king, we see immediately that she began to have power with man. And then because she had power with man, it put her in the position to have power with El. And so all we see is favor. All we see is Queen Esther being strategically positioned throughout, this whole ordeal so that she can deliver Yah's people. I keep saying this, and I will probably forever drill this home, that you have to be sure that you walking upright. And wherever Yah puts you, you say amen. Because you may not understand the structure. You may not understand it. I got to keep telling myself, no good thing would he withhold to them that walketh upright. Because you put in a position that it doesn't seem favorable. But do you really believe that there's no good thing that he will not withhold to them that walketh upright? Do you really believe that? Unless you ain't walking upright now, you know. But only you know what you're doing. And so you just continue to go through. And you continue to go through. And you continue to walk your journey. You continue to pray. You continue to have faith. Because at times, that's all you have. When somebody tells somebody that there's nothing else we can do, nothing else we can do for you. You got a certain amount of time to live. You're going to start cursing. You're going to start crying. Or you're going to, completely, now I'm not saying you ain't going to die, but I'm just saying, I got to completely submit myself because I only got one hope. And that's El. And I got to rely on him. So let's talk a little bit about that. Those who may have read the story, can we talk a little bit about her positioning at different times throughout this ordeal? One of the things is she obtained favor in the sight of Haggai, the keeper of the women. There was a time when she came in and they moved her completely gave her, I think it was 7 servants. Immediately. That Yah gave her favor. How did she obtain grace and favor before the king? Does anybody tell us how?
Do you want the example or like actually how? Do you know what I'm saying?
You can give either or.
Cain, I don't know if this is what Sister Mary was going to say, but the king is a powerful person, and he has dominion over a lot of different things. So something that I see with automatic favor is that, the king positioned Esther to where if she requested half of the kingdom, he would give it to her. So I mean, even today, I don't know if it's a lot of husbands who would give their wife half of the kingdom or half of whatever they have. So just that alone, I think that's putting Esther in that position
Hey,
where it's like, hey,
you don't have to. All you got to do is go to California.
hey, Kane, you go to some of these states and, but just even a king want to give half of his kingdom to Esther, that alone is like power and favor, that's coming from El, really.
Yeah. And I really asked us to read because I want to engage in that story. I want to engage in. I'll say it since you said it, but I think we're going to talk about it.
You want me to read the verse?
Is it? Do we have it here?
Yeah, Esther 2 and 9.
Yeah, you can read it because I think we were gonna. This is what Haggai. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Esther 2, verse 9. Okay, I think you mean 17, right? With the king?
Um, you can read it.
Okay, Esther 2, verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Mm. Can you imagine? You got all these beautiful women, and before her, and her can try out, he was like, "That's the queen." Now you've been going through this whole little purification, whatever they were calling it, for a whole year, and she immediately. Now I want you to think that it was just upon looking, right? Ain't no king that crazy, but it was something in her, and I believe that Yah puts that in us. There's something about you that's unique, that's different, that stands out, right? I mean, some people call it a little X factor, but it's something in us that is going to allow us to have favor with man. And so we're going to go through these scenarios here. We have about maybe 10 scenarios, so I'm trying to watch our time. And we're going to see how Queen Esther continued to have favor. Now, you could say it's coincidence all you want, but there's too many coincidences that happens through this story that we're going to see. Where we see that Yah is there and Yah is working. Okay, let's move on. Oh, we can't go to the next slide. I forgot. I'm like, let's move on. I'm waiting for the next slide. I don't know what this EAP is. Okay. Ronnie, let me know if you see something. I'm going to keep messing with this.
Next,
Okay. Yes.
next slide is called Power, Alignment with God, or El. The book of Esther never directly mentions God's name, but his providence is everywhere. Before she approached the king, Esther called for a 3-day fast from Esther 4 and 16. That wasn't political strategy alone. That was spiritual positioning. She did 4 things. She submitted to fasting, risked her life, sought divine intervention, and moved in perfect timing. And the result? The decree against the Jews was overturned. Haman's plot collapsed. Israel was preserved. And that kind of outcome doesn't happen by charisma alone. That's divine orchestration meeting courageous obedience.
Okay. Does anybody have anything on that? Go ahead, Dr. Tate.
This slide is called Power Alignment with El, and our sister Constance started off by reading this line saying that while El's name isn't directly mentioned, his providence is everywhere. I think even in the request that Esther made to have the whole nation to fast for her on her behalf, like why do we fast?
Yeah.
Why are we praying? We're fasting not for our own benefit. It's quite the contrary. Like, we need to eat and we need to drink to nourish our bodies. These are like the things, the sustenance of life. But we fast to get closer to Yah. We fast to appease him so that he can move on our behalf. We see that there are some things that can only be worked out with fasting and with prayer. And so El is here because we're not fasting just for our own benefit. It's
Sure.
not to the benefit of humans to just stop eating and drinking for a long extended period of time. And so they're doing that for El. They're doing that to request that he move on their behalf. They're praying to him that he might move on their behalf. And we see him in the result. We see him in the success that these Jews had. They're so small in number, as we talked about, relative to the entire Persian Empire in our lesson last week, yet they had such a magnificent, great victory and outcome. And so you see El in the details of all that.
Good. Good. Anybody else? Mm-hmm.
From the time I've been here, I always hear this phrase, power with El, and associating that with our birthright is like Yisrael. But I never thought about power meaning alignment. This slide kind of is helping me put that into perspective. Even in my own life when I'm praying for certain things, and I do ask for alignment, but I'm now realizing that's where his power can manifest. That's how it comes forth, through his alignment, through his timing, through, So I don't know. I never thought about power or equating that to alignment, but it makes perfect sense for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Tate.
I just want to say thanks for bringing that out. Like it is, power with El, power with man, and causing us to prevail is our identity. It's what our name means. It's what you see throughout the history of Yisrael. But really distinguishing or distilling or describing power with El as alignment with El, that actually just makes such perfect sense, right? When you're in alignment with him, you're in alignment with his divine workflow. You're in alignment with his plan. You're in alignment and asking for insight and a plan from him. And so, of course, then the result of that is his power. And, these outcomes that we're seeing when we align ourselves with what he wants us to do, when we're following after his word, that's what's going to give you the power, because you're not disconnected from the source of power. So it's easier for that. You create a conduit for that power to flow through you if you're not disconnected from the source of the power. So
How can two walk together?
except they agree.
Right? Is there power in walking in unison? Right? Wasn't the people at the Tower of Babel, were they aligned?
That's why he has to give them unaligned.
There's power. I don't understand people. Right? And here's the thing. The thing is, you can be in alignment without Yah, and extraordinary things can happen. Look at the Tower of Babel. Now, of course, it's going to come crashing down. But what if you are in alignment with the Creator himself? This is why the Bible says that you will be able to do the impossible. But sometimes we get in alignment with him, and that's an unusual feeling. I mean, you got to be locked in to be aligned with Yah. And then you say that, folks will knock you off your square. Right? So we got to get in alignment, and we come to enter into his rest so that we can stay in alignment. If you're not coming here and connecting with him, there's something that you're going to keep hearing every week that's going to draw you closer, that's going to continue to encourage you, that's going to give you something new or some new insight that you didn't have before. And so we come here week after week so that we can stay aligned with Yah and his will. Yeah, the devils are in alignment. Right? No, you ain't going to. Okay, so there's power in alignment. Listen, it's not just physical. It's not just a physical thing. When you are alignment, there's a spiritual. Everything starts in the spirit first. Everything you do. Do you know that when you got here this morning, you just didn't physically get up and come here? Do you know, although you may not have, well, you did think about it. Because in your mind, you said, let me get my keys so I can go to the temple. You spoke that in your mind. And so that was a thought first. Our thoughts got to be, y'all thought, let this mind be in you, which is also in Mashika Yasha. So it starts with a thought. Your power starts with a thought. Your ability to do the impossible begins with a thought. But you do the impossible because you walking with the impossible. You walking with somebody that can do all things. And because he can do all things, he gave you as sons and daughters the power to do all things. Is that what the Bible says? I can do all things? Right? So he has to strengthen us. Okay? Now we're going to go through, I really wanted to share this. I really wanted to share this online. We just cannot get our stuff here working. All right. Let's go on to our next slide. I'm pretty sure everybody that's online should have their, their presentation, their slides as well. Let's go and look at these. All right. Look, I'm sitting here looking, keep waiting for the screen to change. All right. Esther is chosen as queen. Now we're going to go through these different stages where we're going to see Yah. In every piece of this, we're going to see Yah. All right, let's look at Esther is chosen as queen. And I want you to tell me, I want you to kind of dig in and say, well, why was Yah there? How was Yah there? That's my question to you. How and where was Yah? Let's read this first one.
After Queen Vashti is removed by King Ahasuerus, Esther, a Jewish orphan raised by Mordecai, is chosen as queen. Esther 2:17. A Jewish woman is placed in a palace before the crisis even unfolds. This positioned her later to intercede for her people.
Okay. All right. What's up? Where was El, or how do we see Yah? Sister Kai?
Oh, in my opinion, I believe that we see Elle and just Esther being placed there because it states that she's a Jewish woman, and we know that that Jews have power with Elle and with man.
Okay. Good.
How about the relationship dismantled between Vashti and the king initially? Like, if that relationship had been in place, Mordecai was already under Haman's skin, and had not he gotten rid of Esther, had not gotten rid of Vashti, Esther would have never even had a position to be there. So, it's not
So El had to harden her heart. Hey, the king want to see you. Because they was sitting there and drinking. He wanted to show how fine and beautiful his woman. She said, I ain't going nowhere. And that was the end of her queenship. So, yes. Did you have something?
Kane, I want to follow up to what our minister of music said. I think there's a direct correlation between obedience to Yah's laws and the people he set up with righteousness. So we see Vashti, she wasn't being obedient to her king, but then we also see Queen Esther being obedient to Mordecai. From the very beginning, Mordecai told Esther, okay, hey, don't reveal your lineage. And I kind of picked that up as like, well, she has to be obedient to Mordecai before she can even be obedient to the king, because she was commanded that by Mordecai at first. And lo and behold, Yah put her in this position. She was always obedient. Before she was obedient to, the king, she was obedient to Mordecai. And, she's obedient to El in a sense that, she got that revelation to save her people.
And can we go back even further? Why was she even an orphan in the first place? That had to, I mean, just keep going back. You just keep looking back at how y'all orchestrated something just so long ago. The fact that she was so beautiful, you know, she could have broke her nose 3 times before she made, you know, anything could have. But all of those things matter. And even when you look at your own life, you wonder, like, how am I in this place right now? And you look back at all of the seemingly small coincidences, but it's not a coincidence. It's also very orchestrated.
Now you may say, I mean, think about how hurt people are when they lose their parents. Now I'm not saying whether her parents are righteous or not righteous. That's not the point. The point was she was made an orphan so that she could now be in the care of Mordecai, right? And I mean, you just kind of look at all these things and how all these things happen. Now, yeah, sure. Somebody gonna say it's coincidental. Okay, yeah, wait till we get to the end. It may seem coincidental now. People question y'all, well, man, y'all bogus. How he gonna kill her parents or take her parents to make her an orphan? Right? I don't get in y'all's business. That's why I say we have faith, and give him thanks in all things, because we don't understand his master plan. Right? We don't understand what he has in store for you 10 years down the line. And sometimes those things hurtful. Now, we look at that she's in the care of Mordecai. Mordecai said, well, I love my cousin. I'm going to take care of her. And then they come and take her away. I don't know how long it was before Mordecai, had talked or seen her. But just think about the love he had for raising her like a daughter. And then now somebody come and take her away. But the story isn't over yet. Show your hand up.
You just said something that triggered something else, but just about when we go through and, just understanding that there is an orchestration, there is a plan at work, and just to be cautious not to mumble and not to grumble, because you look for Yah in everything. And that was the question you posed, like, where do you find Yah in all of this? He's in all of it. And when we go through the things we go through, if we're more focused on Yah and more focused on Yah, just show me what you need for me to see in this. Help me to, just make it through whatever it is you're taking me through. When we get to the other side, that's when we can really understand that, okay, this was all for a purpose. It was by design.
And it's hard not to
swallow it.
Yeah, it's hard not to grumble, right? That's why we should pray 3 times a day, because you probably grumble twice a day about something. And you know what we do when we get down? We repent, because we have this nature. And this nature of ours, listen, everybody got a breaking point. Everybody got a button that could be pushed. And sometimes that come out. And sometimes we think things we shouldn't have thought. We say things that we shouldn't have said. We do things that we shouldn't have done. And so throughout the day, we go before Yah. We ask Yah to forgive us, give us strength to overcome. Yah's wipe our slate clean. But what if you're not praying? What if you sinning and you're doing these things and your life end? At least I can say, well, my life ended. I repented for whatever I did. I shouldn't say knowingly, but unknowingly. Some things that you haven't spiritually grown to deal with yet. And so you ask God to give you strength and help you to overcome certain things, but at the same time you ask him to forgive you for those things that you've done. And so that's very important that we come, to him. And a lot of us are guilty of not doing it, of not getting down on our knees 3 times. I'm guilty of not doing it. Right, but we need to do that. Dr. Tate?
I think the same thing that really resonated with our minister of music, so too it resonated with me. As you were speaking, I was thinking about there's so many stories of our ancestors in the Bible where we have the privilege of understanding why Yah brought them through certain trials or tribulations. I'm reminded of the story of Joseph and thinking about all the things that he went through, but how those trials and tribulations gave him a certain special set of skills to be the second in command in the land of Egypt and to really preserve the nation of Israel from the famine that was to come. And we don't necessarily have the benefit of all that information with the story of Esther in terms of, you know, I totally, yeah, I don't have the experience of what it is to be an orphan, but I can imagine that those trials and tribulations gave her a certain strength and resolve. There's certain things that she came to know El as a result of some of the difficulties that were associated with that. And so it makes me to wonder, you know, as she's going through the things in her life, how did she draw from the strength of her life growing up in her situation? How did she draw from that when she's now alone, right? She's now in the king's courts, and she's separated from her cousin Mordecai. And how does she draw from the strength of what it was like to be an orphan, to still press through and to still stand up for the people of Yah? And so I don't know all of the pieces of what she learned from her experience, but what I do know is that Yah puts us in certain positions so that we can really develop a muscle and grow a skill set, so that when he brings us through something that is even that much harder, that he's prepared us for it, that he's
Sure.
not putting on something on us that we can't handle, we can't bear.
Sure. Okay. This positioned her to later intercede for her people, right? Elder Nate and I talked about this, and I'm going to say this in reference to you. There's a difference in being anointed, and there's a difference in being empowered. Before you are empowered, you got to be anointed. You got to be set aside. And you may be set aside just like David was a shepherd. Man, I'm eyeing to being a king. I ain't about to be nobody's no shepherd. Mess around with no sheep and no dogs. Right? So, but Yah anoints us, and your time may not be at hand to do whatever it is that he anointed you to do. But just because he anointed you don't mean that you are operating in what he's going to empower you to do. Right? So we have to accept the anointing. First of all, he has to anoint you. And sometimes we don't know that he has anointed us. But the first thing he does is that he calls you out of darkness. Right? He calls you into his family. And then he's developing you. You don't know he's developing you. He's training you. You don't know you're being trained. He's molding you. You don't know that you're being molded. But at some point, your number's going to be called. And I want y'all to use me. I want to be ready when my number is called. If you watch sports, you know, you get people who come into the NBA. They may be good in college, don't mean nothing. You know, you get to the NBA, everybody's All-Americans. And you get there, or you get into football or baseball, whatever it is, and you don't say, well, I'm not starting. I'm not getting no playing time. And you don't practice hard. You don't eat right. Folks eating salad, man, you want to get you a double Whopper, man. Why I got to eat right? I ain't getting in the game. Hey, but at some point, your number going to be called. And guess what's going to happen when you're not ready? You're going to get cut. Y'all going to put somebody in your position. But he's going to give you the opportunity. So you take all of it in. You take it in. You spend a little time studying and going over your notes and your lessons. You keep meditating and praying. And it seemed like it's not going nowhere. We all been kind of there, whether we trying to build muscle or lose fat. Man, we doing it, man. It seems like I ain't losing nothing. You got to keep doing it, 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 keep doing it. And one day it'll break. I was trying to lose some weight, and I told my wife I was at the exact same weight for like 3 years. When I say exact same weight, I mean I was almost at the exact same weight. May lose 1 or 2 pounds, couldn't break it. And all of a sudden, I don't know how, but it just seemed like, think about it, after 3 years, you weigh the exact same amount. And to be honest with you, I don't even know what it was that broke it, but I'm saying it broke. And so we gotta be the same. We gotta just keep pushing. and it seems like I'm not getting this stuff, or man, some people learn faster than me, or what is it that y'all want me to do? And you may not know because it's not clear what you are destined to do. Do you think when she became the queen that she even thought about she was going to do what she did? Do you think when Joseph sat in prison for over 10 years that he even thought that he was going to be in a position? So you don't know what y'all's doing. That's what I said. You got to just go through. And you got to continue to sharpen your sword and keep reading your word because you don't know where y'all's going to take you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. If there's anybody that is listening, that of course we're having some technical difficulties that would like the slides sent to you. Can you put your email address in the chat room, and I'll have somebody send you a copy of those slides. Okay, so if there's anybody that's on that want to see what we're looking at, just put your email address in the chat room, and then I'll immediately have somebody send you those PowerPoint slides so you can follow along. Let's go on to our next slide.
Esther gains favor with everyone. Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. Esther 2:15. She found favor with Haggai, the king's chamberlain. She found favor with the king above all other women. This favor gave her influence and access.
Don't you think, if you find favor with your manager, and then you find favor with people that's in other departments, and then you find favor with the president of the company. You know? What is it that you cannot do? If you found favor, is that some power when you found favor? Man, I didn't say that was power. I said that was favor. But because you got favor, you gonna get some power, right? All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Mordecai discovers the assassination plot. Mordecai overhears a conspiracy against King Ahasuerus. Esther chapter 2, verses 21 through 23. Esther informs the king in Mordecai's name. The deed is recorded in the royal chronicles. Though unrewarded at the time, this record later becomes critical.
So, can somebody tell me what happened that Mordecai discovered the assassination plot?
Cain, Mordecai overheard two of the king's men plotting to assassinate the king, and he reported it, and Mordecai gained favor.
Do you know what
it was reported, and Mordecai gained favor.
Do you know what Mordecai's position was?
In the kingdom, after it was reported and he found favor?
Huh? No.
You mean before?
Yeah.
Before he reported it?
Yeah.
He didn't have a position.
Where was Mordecai at all the time? Yeah, but he was at the king's, was it the gate? Well, no. Before the sackcloth and ashes, he was just always
in the streets.
no. He was always at the gate. Let's go and read Esther the 2nd chapter.
Okay, I'm going to Esther the 2nd chapter, verses 21 through 23.
And if I'm not mistaken, as many times as I read it, he had a position. Yeah, at the king's gate, like a gatekeeper or something like that.
Okay. Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and Cyrus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. So
Mordecai happened to be in the right place to hear about this assassination plot that was going to happen, that they were going to assassinate the king, right? And Mordecai could have just said, whatever, ain't my business. But Mordecai reported it to Queen Esther, who told the king. And this was recorded in the Royal Chronicles. Now, I guess people get rewards or whatever, but what happened to Mordecai? Did he get a reward? No. When it was reported and they hung, what'd you say? Yeah, but what happened when he reported it at that time? Huh? Yeah, just he went unrewarded, I mean, think about it. You're not really inquiring about the details. You just know that it was a investigation, and the king is furious because he was about to die. So he wasn't thinking about how it got reported, but it wasn't time yet. We talk about divine positioning. It wasn't time for that reward to take place. How many of us do work at our job? Ain't getting nothing. No, thank you. No. Or you may say, hey, good job. I've been doing a good job for what? Where's my reward at? So we're going to see where this is going to come back to help the entire nation. Okay, let's go ahead and move on.
Esther finds favor before the king without being summoned. Approaching the king uninvited could mean death. Esther 4:11. When Esther fasts and goes in anyway, the king extends the golden scepter. Esther 5:2. Instead of judgment, she receives mercy and an invitation to make her request.
Now let's just think about what's happening here. There is a law that you don't come before the king without being summoned. And when the Jews of Mordecai found out that the Jews were going to be killed, Mordecai said, you got to go to the king and talk to him. Now, it wasn't easy for Esther to just say, okay, let me go talk to him. She didn't know when she was going to be summoned to the king. And so Queen Esther told Mordecai, you go tell the Jews 3 days and 3 nights to fast for me. Because I don't know of nobody that went before the king. Because didn't nobody, think about it. Think about somebody saying, if you go before the president, you go before the king without being called, that you're going to die. You can say, nah, he's not going to do that to me. No, it was a law. And it's understood that the king cannot overturn the laws. It must happen. And so I think this is a beautiful thing. The penalty of coming before the king is what? Now, listen, I don't know what perfume Queen Esther put on or what type of gown she had and how she had her hair fixed up, but this is a law. And she walked before the king, and the king looked, and he saw her. The penalty for doing that is death. And the king summons and held up the scepter. And Queen Esther came before him. And he looked at Queen Esther. And he said, I'm saying in my own words, baby, what you want? And he said, I will give you up to half. Now, hold on. You're supposed to die for going before him unannounced. And instead of dying, instead of being rebuked, instead of being humiliated, he offered you 50%. Half of the kingdom. Now, if that would have happened, I'd be, oh, yeah, that's Yah, Because he just didn't accept me coming. He gave me something for coming. And I just thought that was amazing. Esther finds favor. We talk about having power with God and with man, and we keep seeing this pattern throughout this story. Let's go on to the next slide.
The king's sleepless night. On the very night Haman plans to hang Mordecai, the king cannot sleep. Esther chapter 6, verse 1.
Wait. The king couldn't sleep on what night?
When Haman was trying to unalive Mordecai.
So Haman had plotted. He had built a gallows to hang Mordecai on. And that very night that he built the gallows, the king was suffering from insomnia. Now, what happened because he couldn't sleep?
The royal records are read aloud.
So he wanted somebody to read him a bedtime story. Go get the Chronicles. Now, you going to tell somebody to go get the Chronicles because you can't sleep and read to me from the Chronicles? Now, remind you that when Mordecai discovered that they was going to try to assassinate the king, and he told Esther, and the plot was destroyed, nothing was given to Mordecai. But on this day, he couldn't sleep. The same day where Haman built the gallows. All right, keep reading.
The king discovers Mordecai was never rewarded. This divine timing interrupts Haman's plan.
So look how all this is happening now. The day that Haman built the gallows is the night that the king couldn't sleep. And somebody reminded him of what Mordecai had done. And now he's appreciative. He's like, well, what do we do for Mordecai? Let's go to the next slide.
Haman comes to request Mordecai's execution, but instead must lead him through the city in royal honor.
Let me remind you again what happened. Haman built a gallows to kill Mordecai. That night, the king couldn't sleep, so he had somebody read to him from the royal chronicles. And the chronicles, he discovered or rediscovered that that Mordecai wasn't rewarded for saving his life. The very next morning, Haman gets up and he goes to see the king. The next morning. And the king invited Haman into his quarters. And he said, what should the king do to honor, a man that he wants to honor? And boy, Haman was pumped. Because he's like, I'm the second in command. I'm that man. I'm that guy. The very man Haman hated is publicly exalted. I'm going to tell the king that I'm going to hang Mordecai. But before I can get it out my mouth, the king tells me to exalt and honor the man that I was going to kill. Haman's humiliation signals a turning point. Now, this is the turning point in this whole story. Okay. Anybody have anything to give before? I'll let you read. I got a little carried away, Dr. Tate. The next one. Dr. Tate, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know how many times I have read the story, but I didn't appreciate this moment that was just gone over in these last two pages. Just another example of Yah's divine intervention. It's not coincidental that this was all happening at the same time, and that this night prior to this conversation, he's poised the king to be ready to honor Mordecai, just as Haman wants to come in with a whole different plan of how to unalive him. And so it's another example of El orchestrating the situation and being present in the story.
Good. Good. Anybody else? Okay. Let's move to the next. Let's move to the next slide. Again, for those that are online, we're having some technical issues. So if you would like to have these slides or see what we're looking at, you can put your name in the chat room, and then we'll have someone immediately email you these PowerPoint slides we're looking at.
Haman exposed at the banquet. At Esther's banquet, she revealed her Jewish identity and exposes Haman's plot. Esther 7. The king's anger is turned towards Haman. Haman is hanged on the gallows he prepared for Mordecai. Esther 7 and 10.
Okay. So Haman is, what is the word called? Impaled. Does anybody know what impaled mean? Okay. Yeah. I'm going to give you, in the words of our chief apostle, what do you say, Dr. Tate? I'm about to be nasty. I'm about to be nasty now. So, yeah, they can impale you through the side. You know probably how they really impaled you? They greased that pole. Oh no. Oh no. They greased that pole. No, everybody don't understand. Well, I mean, I'm saying it for a reason. Like you talking about capital punishment, and so it wasn't no hanging. They'll put it through your cavity, creep underneath, and it's going through your body, upward, up through, and the whole idea is not to pierce an organ, so you can die slowly. And so, can you? Hey, listen. Some look up the word impaled. No, so it's supposed to be a slow death. And now you talking about capital punishment. Can you imagine like seeing that? Oh, you discouraged from doing whatever they did? I ain't doing what they did. Yeah. So what? Huh? Well, it uses the word impale. That was that was a capital punishment. Now you know there are certain no there are certain people that don't want to be they don't want to be nasty. And when you start, no, I'm saying when you read different translations, but if you read the word impale, you looking up impale because they think I'm telling Brother Lonzo. You looking up impale? No, just look up impale.
Shalom. This is coming from the New Oxford. Impale, to pierce or transfix with a sharp instrument. And this is the second definition: to display a coat of arms side by side with another on the same shield, separated by a vertical line. So it's really, to pierce or transfix with a sharp instrument.
Yeah, and it comes all the way through. Now, listen, I may be extra, whether it came through your throat or your mouth or whatever. That might be extra, but that's what impale means, huh? No. So then if you look in the King James, it probably uses the word impale. Now, let me say this because I don't even know if it's. So, um, let me just read, make sure we don't have it. Uh, Miss Ronnie, what do you? No, they didn't. I, Miss Ronnie, what you reading? No, they impaled them. Okay. Well, yeah. All right. No, but it wasn't pale. All right. Miss Ronnie showing the pictures. Let me see. Let me see. I don't get a kick out of this stuff. Yeah, that's no, that's what impale is. All right. All right, where we at? We did the more together. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me find it. Okay, he slept. Where are we at? Do we do the banquet yet? Okay. Mordecai promoted to Haman's position.
Mordecai promoted to Haman's position. After Haman's execution, Mordecai is elevated to his position, Esther 8, verse 2. A faithful Jew replaces Yisrael's enemy in power.
Now let's talk about why was that important, Minister. Anybody know, like, you see Mordecai now being put in Haman's position? Let's talk about that. He was what?
Hey, that's huge. I think our sister Constance just hit on it. He's second in command, and then you got to keep in mind too that we still have Queen Esther, who's the queen, and she has really up to half of the kingdom. So when you put those two in conjunction, it's like Israel is really a powerhouse in the Persian Empire.
Yeah. Now don't nobody know that he offered her, half of that. But I want you to think about this. Regardless of the plot or the whatever to destroy the Jews, you got Queen Esther. Don't think that people didn't know that this dude was sitting like that picture Ronnie showed you. And the person who was impaled was second in command. Now, you didn't see the king. You saw Haman, second in command. Now, although there's a plot to kill all the Jews, they're saying, uh-oh, what can Mordecai do? Because he's second in command. Just like they reverence Haman, they reverence Mordecai. So what is it that Mordecai can do to us? Mordecai got the power, right? He got the ring. He got the juice. And so what is Mordecai going to do? So if I am the people of Persia, I'm terrified about what it is that Mordecai might do because there is this thing. So there's something that's uneasy by him being second in command. Okay, anybody else? Ms. Yosef.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I was gonna say that when Mordecai got into this position as second in power, the fear was there before he even got in that position. That was the reason why when Haman wanted to have him and all the Jews, Yisrael, killed, he said that there's a people that has laws that are diverse from anybody within this kingdom. And he said it would be to your justice to do away with these people, because it was in the spiritual world, they were threatened by Mordecai. And now here it is, he's in the tables are now turned on the physical side. Now they know, like, whoa, we really in trouble. But the fact that they knew the power that was behind Mordecai, they feared Yisrael, which is why they wanted to have them wiped out from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Good. Boy, it was something I had to say and I forgot. So, do you know how many people were killed and Susa. It, huh? 500 that day. No, 500. It's only a small number. And then the next day, I think it was 300 or 250. But in the whole Persia Empire, you know what that number was? 75,000. Do you know I know it say Susa and then some say it's Susa. How, yeah. Do you know who else was killed on that first day? The 10 sons. Now, I thought this was kind of strange. They were killed. And after the second day, I think it was the second day, they had to go back and get them boys because the Bible says Queen Esther asked to impale his sons. Right, so they was already dead because they got killed on the first day. But then she went back to the king when she was asking about. She said, "Well, yeah, you gave us Haman, but there's still a law to kill us." And she said, matter of fact, she asked to go impale his sons. What they were already dead. So, I mean, think about psychological warfare. This was the second in command. He's impaled on a pole, and all his sons. Why do you think well, I shouldn't say important. Why do you think they impaled his sons? Or killed his sons? If you think you know, raise your hand. Why do you think they impaled or killed the sons? 3, 4 people. Okay. Somebody tell me, why did they kill his sons? What you think, Sister Kai?
Well, coming off of a teacher brain, when one, yes, Haman was the second in command.
Okay.
And yes, his sons were there. But so you said the psychological warfare, but also it was a statement to all of their people of this is what happens when you go against the king or when you go against the queen. But then you stated that Esther specifically requested this. And so I don't want to use the word like revenge, but kind of like a showing of maybe a sense of like retaliation from what the Jews had to go through.
Okay. Good. Who else? Dr. Tate, you and then Ms. Yosef. Why do you think they killed all of his sons?
Cain,
Somebody said for revenge or like, this is for what your father did to us or whatever. Okay.
Cain, I think too. I think our sister Kai kind of hit on some of those points, but it sends a message. You can attack the children of Israel and get away with it, but more so, I mean, if you hurt someone as a kid, right? If you get into a fight with another kid, then their whole family wants to come out. So when I think of him having 10 sons, I'm pretty sure those 10 sons would want to get revenge for their father. They would want to avenge their father. Mm-hmm. So it's important that we get rid of his lineage right then and there. And why not get rid of his lineage when he tried to annihilate the entire lineage of Israel? So it's really almost eye for eye, almost like, okay, hey, you was gonna do this to us, now we gonna do this to you and your whole lineage.
Okay, good. Who else? Dr. Tate, Minister Yosef.
I don't know. I have a slightly different perspective in how I imagine this going. I think it's important to remember that Haman was the leader of this malice toward Mordecai and the Jews, but the buck doesn't stop with him. Mm-hmm. And just as he had such resolve to do harm to Mordecai and the Jews, if had they not killed his sons and made a display of it, there are certainly others that were supporting Haman. He was second in command, so he had, rule of the army and the men and all of these people who were loyal to him, I'm sure. And so to kill his sons, but then make a public display of the killing of the sons sends a message, not necessarily just like an eye for an eye of like, oh, you did this to us, we're gonna do this to you, but a warning. Stop
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Because this is what will happen to you if you don't. And I think that people can become of martyrs, right? And people can have more resolve. Well, they did this to Haman. Now we really got to fight back. But if you have this public display of the killing of Haman and all of his sons, that's going to potentially make someone think a little bit harder, maybe think twice about going out and harming the Jews. Because we have to remember that the decree wasn't taken away.
Right.
People still could go and try to kill and harm the Jews on these days. The change was that then the Jews were empowered to say, okay, we can fight back when this happens. And so I think part of it was a deterrent.
Okay. Good, Mr. Yosef. And all those were great answers.
Yeah, I was gonna use the example. I can't find the Bible verse, but it was something happened with Yah told them to go destroy a group of people, and one of somebody lived, and then like 30 some years later, it came back to his memory, and he became, but Yah allowed this to happen. He raised him up, and he became a enemy to the children of Israel at that particular time. But Israel was also in sin during this time as well, and he allowed that seed that rose up to come against them. So that's what came to my mind.
Yeah. And all the answers were correct answers, but that's what I would have said. It can be 100 years. I mean, how many movies we done watch and you looking at, man, why are they doing this? And then to get to the point where I'm avenging my father's or my grandfather's death or somebody you done killed 80 years ago, right? Haman and them going to go somewhere. They going to start to build up people who believed in him. I think somebody said people who were loyal to them, they start to build up, and now they got about 500,000 or a million. Now, the grandkids or the great-grandkids, somebody going to go and attack. Think about if that happened to your father, if you did that to your father, not only did you kill him in war, not only was he second in command, but look at what you did. Man, you rotisserie chicken dude. I mean, you just put him on the pole and have him just sitting out there. Right? Got him on the pole. And probably left him there for like 10 days. And people just walking by and seeing that. So, all right. Where are we at? We did the second in command, right?
A new decree allows Jewish self-defense. Though Persian law could not be reversed, a new decree allows the Jews to defend themselves, Esther 8 and 11. Fear falls upon their enemies, and many people align themselves with the Jews, Esther 8 and 17.
So now, do we see what that means to become a Jew? Well, no. What did that say? Many people did what? No. No, it says many people. The last sentence. They align themselves with the Jews, right? So yeah, there are Bible verses that say they became Jews, but here they say they aligned themselves with the Jews. And then we talked about why fear fell upon the Jews. One of the reasons. Why do we say one of the reasons? Fear of their God. Why they didn't fear the God before? Maybe they never seen the God before work, or it was a myth. They heard of these stories of their God, and now they start to see things as evidence. Man, this is what legends had said, that in the times of destruction, that they God come and rescue them. So think about you hearing that and you knowing about that. But you actually see that starts to come. Yeah. And now you like, oh boy, what they said. What's the second thing we just said? Another reason they probably feared. well, yeah. Who's in command now? Right? So why would you still try to execute? Hold on. Haman gave the law. But why would you try to execute a law that was given by a man who, right, he did something. He did something, and because of what he did, he did. So now I'm second guessing executing something. If they can kill and do that to the second in command, what can they do to me? Now I laugh at this because some people's like, look at all the wealth we can get. Everybody we kill, we can have their stuff. Right? We can take all their stuff. Once we kill them, their stuff is ours. I think what was interesting about the Jews is that on the first day in Susa and on the second day when they killed those people, and even the 75,000 that was killed, right? Even the 75,000, the Bible said that they didn't take their plunder. Now, it shows something special because the law that was passed that when you kill the Jews, you could take their stuff. But when the Jews fought back and they killed their enemy, they said they didn't even take their stuff. Out of all that killing, they didn't take none of their stuff. So there was this new decree that was given. And so now the Jews can defend themselves. Let's go, I think, to our last slide.
The great reversal theme. The book of Esther repeatedly shows reversal.
Think about reversal in your life. Think about all the negative things. Apostle used to always say that Yah can turn a negative into a positive. So there's a reversal theme. Now, I know we all don't believe that all the negative things that's going on in our life, that Yah can reverse that. We think about, after I finished reading Esther, I started going into reading Job. All the negative things that's going on in your life, there was a reversal. And Job had to go through, and Esther had to go through, and the people had to go through. But let's talk about this great reversal thing.
A queen removed, a Jewish queen installed.
Right. As you say, I ain't going. I'm not going. So he removed one, and he replaced that queen with his own. Y'all put his people in place. What's the next one?
A plot to kill turned into a plot exposed.
Okay.
Gallows prepared, enemy executed.
You know, that's the kind of worst thing. You built a gallows to kill somebody, and then they killed you with your gallows. And I think the gallows on this property. Hey, so, hey, your family come out the door, they just see you. Gone. What's the next one?
Mourning decreed and celebration established.
We done cried. We done mourned. When I say mourn, we've been sad. And that sadness could turn into joy. Sometimes Yah does things, and do you know those things that are sad? Those things that you cry about, some of the things that you mourn about are things that ain't no good for you. And in your flesh, you hold on to stuff that ain't good. So y'all got to take action for your own benefit. I was talking to somebody yesterday or a couple of days. Oh, I know who it was, my nephew. Um, there are some things that's seasonal. Do you know you get attached to seasonal things? Shame on you because it was seasonal. And you try to keep it forever. Whether our careers, whether our jobs. Um, I talked to my wife about moving to different positions. Some things can be permanent, some things can be seasonal. But you bet not try to make seasonal things permanent. Right? And so, we just thank God that He's in control. He's in control. I got to tell myself, because some things is just like, He in control. You say that, but you stressed. Ooh. Because I understand why you anxious. You going through it. And it's hard it's hard to have a foot attacking your foot and you not say ouch. Right? So when you're going through, you can say, I know y'all taking me through, but you physically going through. You physically feeling it. It's hard to be smacked in the face and just ignore it, turn the other cheek. Then you smack me in that cheek, turn the other cheek, and you keep smacking me, you keep smacking me, you keep smacking me. Right? Hey, how many times do I have to turn the other cheek? And so it's tough on us. But I'm saying we have to continue to pray that we don't move, that we don't move too fast, that we don't move based off of our own emotions. Now, of course, your emotions are going to move you, and they should, right? But let something solid be behind that. And so we see that what Haman meant for destruction, Yah turned for deliverance. And ain't that just like Yah and how He does it? Because the Bible says they overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So that means you're going to be tested. You're going to be put through. And it hurts. Listen, don't tell me you don't feel no type of way. Because Mordecai was hollering and yelling, putting on sackcloth, ripping off his clothes. So I'm not saying come through them doors with your head up and smiling and right. There's some things that's going to bother you. There's some things that hurt. As folks say, life be lifing. And it's not always easy. I thank y'all for, my wife. I thank y'all for some of my brothers and sisters that you don't have to know personally what's going on, but just, in the faith, we encourage each other. Sometimes just seeing somebody is encouraging. I be looking at just seeing Dr. Tate make me, I'm like, man, is she up there, boy, on 10? And that ministers, so your personality can minister to somebody. And we need that from one another. Because we human and we go through and we suffer and we got challenges. And, I don't care about, I'm going to say that the wrong way. You got parents and you got friends. I got some friends I'm real, real close with. But nobody can encourage you and motivate you like your spiritual brothers and sisters. Because that's the real thing that's going to get you over. Oh, your girlfriend, cool. Y'all been together since 3rd grade. Yeah, that's cute. I gather, I'd rather suffer with the saints. I have some friends like, hey, my buddy in town, and they want to get together on Friday. I'm like, dude, for real? Like, how many years I've known you? And so that's not going to give me favor. laughing and he-heeing with my buddies not going to give me favor. What gives you favor is you walking in alignment with Yah and being in the spiritual realm. You know, sometimes you got to reach up in the spiritual realm. I mean, all the time you should. But when you fighting against things in your life, in this world, you got to reach up in the spirit. Right? It's not a physical battle. It's a spiritual battle. Hey, when you hurting, all the talking and hugging ain't going to heal you. I need something that goes a lot deeper than that. Because when your hug's gone, I'm still hurting. And so I need y'all to fix my mind and fix my spirit, heal my spirit, right? Fix my soul. And so we got another week. If you haven't read this story, listen to this story. I think I drove for 20 minutes and I listened to the whole 10 chapters. And I know y'all gonna go do your research on whether these men were hung or impaled. Yeah, that way you showed is the way. Right.
I think the missing, well, number one, I had to travel to a few different versions that you have a certain predilection toward, like the NIV and the easy to read version.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the other thing that I looked up was what gallows meant. I think that was the missing link for me in the King James version. When you look up what a gallows is, it is like, something that he built to like hang on, but hang on by way of impalement is what I found in my reading there. So I had a fundamental misunderstanding of what a gallows was. So yeah, that's what I learned new today.
And all you have to do is like look at what was the capital punishment in Persia during.
When you go to the verse, you know how the Bible gives you like a reference to another Bible verse? It references back to the book of Deuteronomy and goes into some explanation of that type of punishment.
So I'm doing some study, Minister Yosef. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing it, but I found something that was interesting. I thought about something interesting when you think about this story, because you have people who have a problem with this feast day. And when the people of Israel came out of Babylon, large portion of them stayed in the Persian Empire. And when they left the Persian Empire and went back home, do you know who ministry they were under? Ezra and Nehemiah. Ezra was the priest, and Nehemiah was the prophet. Huh? No, Ezra was a priest. He might have been a governor. Nehemiah was a prophet. So hold on. If Ezra and Nehemiah was in the Persian Empire, there was like a 25-year gap between Queen Esther and Ezra and Nehemiah. Well, it's some overlapping, but the point is, if that edict was given in the Persian Empire, and Ezra and Nehemiah was there for 20 years or 25 years, then every year, what do you think Ezra and Nehemiah did there? Because they was there with all the Jews. And then those Jews that left the Persian Empire and went back to Jerusalem was under Ezra. So there's some overlap, because now if you deny Queen Esther and you deny this feast day, if Ezra and the prophet Nehemiah was there, then they're part of this celebration, right? During that time. So that's where I'm at kind of in that study. Matter of fact, last night when my wife fell asleep, I was in the Word. And so I came up with that. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I went to sleep. Um, so yeah, so we got some interesting things. We want to talk about next week about Purim and what people think Purim is. And you'll be shocked if you don't know why people don't celebrate Purim, um, what they think it is. And we'll talk about some more things, but that'll be our last week, our last class. Um, so I do apologize for those that are online who did not get an opportunity to look through the slides with us. Again, if you would like a copy of these slides, you can inbox us on our Facebook page at hashtag My Restoration Gospel. And just ask for these slides, and we'll send them to you. So I was excited about this lesson. I hope it helped us to see Yah functioning, to see divine placement, how people were divinely placed, being in the right place at the right time, and how that caused the entire nation to be saved. So we thank you all for joining us. Yah's willing, we will be back at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We do have a function here in Chicago tomorrow. For those that are in Chicago, was it dinner at 3 or something? It starts at 3. Yep, it starts at 3. Testimony, meals, praise and worship. So we'll be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We do have the Feast of Purim that begins next Sunday. So after going down the sun, we'll be here Sunday and Monday. It's a 2-day feast. We'll be in service for 5 days, I believe. Friday, Shabbat, Saturday, Shabbat, Sunday, the Feast of Purim, Monday, the Feast of Purim, Tuesday, moon service. So, yep, Friday through Tuesday, we will be back here. Again, Yah's willing. We want to encourage you to visit our website, tvbethel.net. That's tvbeyth-el.net. We hope to resolve our technical issues by next week. We want to also encourage you to join our podcast site, restorationpodcast.com. You can also look at our podcast on our YouTube page at hashtag My Restoration Podcast. With that being said, I think we are done for today. We want to thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. On behalf of our late restored Chief Shepherd, Dr. Iman, and on behalf of our elders, our Chief Elder Avery and Elder Nate, I'm Elder Al, I want to depart you as we greeted you by saying Shabbat Shalom.